Welcome back to part 2 of a multi-part series about Craig Fouts, Vietnam veteran. In this episode, we dive in depth to some of the stories and timelines we touched on in part 1. Listen to Craig as he describes in detail. You can almost feel you are there in Vietnam with him.
Craig, when you said you've never experienced weather like a monsoon before, tell me about that.
Well, it was the strangest thing. The clouds were very small clouds, and they'd be separated from each other. And when it would rain below it, you wouldn't think that much rain could come from that little cloud. And if you were under one of those, it was just like a bucket of water being poured on you. I mean, you were wet within seconds. But it was humid, it was hot, it was muddy, sticky, and at Quan Loy, now that was at Camp Evans. It was very muddy at Camp Evans, and that's why we moved south. When we got to Quan Loy was red clay, sticky dirt. It was a rubber tree plantation that was built in the middle of the jungle. And that was very humid and hot and sticky. The red clay dirt was so sticky it would get on everything. So...
Yeah, and so it would probably, obviously, sometimes we're talking, and I want people to understand the things that we've went through. I want them to know what we've, felt. Not me, but you. The things that soldiers like yourself who, you didn't just go somewhere, you went under some deplorable conditions. So now, tell me about some of your experiences at Camp Evans. Is that right? Is that where you're at now, or did you take me somewhere else?
Well, I took you both places to Camp Evans and Quan Loy with the monsoons.
Okay.
But Camp Evans, when I first got there, it was in the middle of the monsoon season. And it wasn't the red clay dirt, but it was a lot of mud and just constant rain. And I remember the first night being there, it was raining so hard, and I had to pull KP in the morning. And when I woke up, my M16 was missing. And so I looked outside, it was laying in the mud. It somehow fell out and got in the mud. But I didn't have time to clean it or anything. I had to report for KP.
Oh my gosh.
So when I came back, I was able to clean it.
Oh my gosh, man, that could have gone real bad, right?
Yeah.
So as time is passing, take me back to where you guys were sleeping inside of a hooch, is what we call it, right?
Yes. Okay. I think you're talking about May 7th, 1969.
Yes.
And that was, the hooch was sort of made of stucco. It was really like a stable for donkeys or whatever. I don't know what they used it for before on the rubber tree plantation, but it was made of the same material as the house was.
Yep.
And it had, one side had bars like in a jail cell that was on it, and then the window where I was sleeping did not have that bar cell. It was separated with two halves with a wall, and and then there was a partition in our half. So I would sit, my cot would be up next to this partition right under the one window. And I was sleeping, and usually we slept, sometimes we slept with our boots on, sometimes not. But I was having a dream that we were having incoming, that they were walking in on us. And it just kept getting louder and closer and closer. And I woke up, and it wasn't a dream at all. It was really happening. I'm going, oh my gosh, this is real. So flew off the cot and laid on the floor. And when it got a little bit quieter, I got my flak jacket on, my steel pot, and started to run for the bunker. So the door was on the other side of where my cot was. And as I was running out the door, the incoming started again, and a round hit and knocked our showers down. And as I got in the doorway, a flare fell in front of me. And I thought, uh-oh, I ran back inside instinctively.
Yeah.
If I knew it was just a flare, I might have ran over it and ran into the bunker. But I ran back into the hooch and got down again because we had sandbags built up all around us. And the shrapnel was coming through our wall. It was coming through the roof. You could look up through the tent roof where shrapnel had gone in it and left holes in it. You could see the sky was red. And so we're going to make a run for it again. And this time I'm going to go try and crawl out my window. So I lifted myself up to crawl out my window, and Reuben Alejandro was right behind me. And this Cobra rocket came flying right in front of me, wiggling, then waved up, and then dropped, exploded, and another Cobra rocket hit a tree out to my front. So I dropped back in, I threw the cot over me, and got my duffel bag, and I leaned up against the partition, just waiting for a direct hit. What had happened was one of the mortar rounds hit our ammo bin and caused a chain reaction that set off all these Cobra rockets one at a time, and other things that were in there were exploding, and it was just terrible. But anyway, I'm sitting there, I'm saying a few words, hey, you know, help me out here. And finally, what I felt was going to happen happened, and it was the loudest explosion I'd ever heard. Nothing ever so loud in my life. And the hooch started coming down. It started falling down on top of us. And it just felt like it kept falling in and burying us. And then it was quiet. And I said, hey, Alejandro, you okay? You okay? No answer. I'm still yelling, are you okay? You okay? And I didn't know if I should dig myself out. I didn't know where my M16 was. I didn't know if we were having a ground attack. And I really didn't know what was going on. And Alejandro said, yeah, I think so. I think I'm okay. I said, I think I am too. I can move my hand. So I moved my hand and I, hey, I can move my arm. And I'm digging out. And as I get out, I see nothing. I'm the only one anywhere. It's dark. And I started yelling for a medic. And I did see, I think we called him Whiskey, or Wop. I can't remember. I think it was Wop.
Yeah.
He was Italian, so
Okay, I get it.
So I can't even. Oh, I think his name was D'Agostino.
Okay.
And I thought I'd dig Alejandro out first to help me because D'Agostino was bleeding profusely from his arm, arterially.
Yes.
And he was stuck in underneath a jail cell window iron, and he couldn't get out of it. So got Alejandro out, and then Alejandro and I started digging out D'Agostino. As soon as we started digging him out, the incoming started again, started hitting close. We flinched, said, oh, we got to go back and help. And then the incoming stopped, and we got him out. And Then we started digging everybody out, but there was nobody out there except us.
You
And then
three?
finally, the people started coming to help. But that I don't even see how we got out of that deal. We were really thankful for being able to get out of that. I think the sandbags that we built up a few days earlier to surround the hooch, that's what saved us.
And Craig, I mean, we have pictures of the before and pictures of the after,
Yeah,
and I have those, and I will attach it to this interview. But it's unbelievable. It's
yeah, no, it
unbelievable.
destroyed a couple of Hueys and I think three loaches, and it destroyed several hooches. And then our underwear was up in the tops of tall trees, and 10 roof parts were up in the top of these tall rubber trees. It was just incredible.
Did your camera
So,
obviously survive and your journal survived?
yes,
I mean, through this whole
yeah.
thing, did you get separated from the camera and the journal during the attack?
I didn't even think about that, but I found it after when we dug through we dug through in our own areas to try and find if we could to try and find anything we could that belonged to us.
How long did
But
it take you to salvage? Do you remember how long it took you to salvage through your stuff?
uh, half an hour to an hour, I guess.
I mean, pretty dangerous because there could have been unexploded ordnance as well. Did you think about that at all, or were you just so
There was
stunned?
there was unexploded rockets with their fins out. So uh, when I went to my helicopter, when it got daylight and after people had worked on it, they had it roped off, and there were live rockets laying all around it. But since I was a crew chief, um, I was able to go beyond the ropes and have a picture taken. I have one of those too, where you can see the rockets laying there.
Wow.
But yeah, and in some of those pictures, you can see some of the mortar craters where the mortar rounds hit so close.
Yes,
And
I
then
did see.
our captain Davenport, before it got daylight, he went out to inspect the damage on the Huey, and there was a puddle of water next to it. And he walked into that puddle of water and fell in over his head because the crater was about 8 feet deep,
He thought
eight
it
or
was a
nine
puddle.
feet deep. So when I saw him at the reunion there, I asked him, now, I know you came back awful wet from that morning. Did you really fall in over your head? He said, yes, I did. I had to swim out of there. So
He still
it was
remembers that, right? It's so vivid in your mind. So when you say the helicopter, the one that you took pictures of, was that 918, tail number 918?
that was 918 that was
Okay.
destroyed. So
Yes.
then on May 10th, I picked up 532 in Fuloy. They flew me out and we picked it up and brought it back, and then I was the crew chief up and on May 10th. We flew it back on May 9th, but
But it
I was
was your
assigned the crew
birthday.
chief on May 10th.
It was your
Yes,
birthday.
May 10th was my birthday. I said it was my birthday present because I was so happy to be able to have one that I thought, okay, well, that's going to be my birthday present.
Because,
Uh,
like you said, May 7th, you thought you were a goner.
oh, I thought, oh yeah. No, I got to the point to where the fear left me, and I just sort of conceded. I wanted to tell my folks, yeah, I don't have to tell you that I love you because you know it. You don't have to tell me you love me because I know it. And but I do feel like I want to tell you I'm okay with this because I did sort of give up and say, oh, it's over in a few seconds here. Just make it quick. And it didn't happen. It's just one big explosion, and it was quiet.
I mean, Craig, not too often do people get into their life into a place that they know it's the end. I
Yeah,
mean, it's if not, it's pretty close, right? Everything is looking unfavorable. This is snafu. This is foobar. This is it. Like
yeah,
this is it. For you to have that conversation in your head
yeah.
and relay that to your family, like what
Well,
did you yeah, like you said, the fear left your body.
there was nothing left to do. There's nowhere I could go. There was nothing left to do except pray, and that kept you calm too. So when I first started, I was pretty scared,
Well,
but it
yes.
went
I mean,
away.
that's
That went away.
natural.
Yeah.
I mean, a loud bang scares people on the 4th of July. I can only imagine what it was like going through intense chaos, And, you referenced a few times that you pray. Like, did you say a certain prayer? Did you just talk to him? Was it,
No, I just talk. I say, I know you're here. I know you're right next to me. I know you're here to help me and you're going to protect me. So I appreciate it. Thank you. And he did. He was there right with me all the whole time. Every flight, I'd say something. I'd say, hey, I know you're there. And he seemed to be. Uh,
and you call that the one-way conversation?
yeah. But I knew he was listening.
That, Craig, do you still carry that faith with you through today?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So many things that seem like fate, that seem like too many things. Just for instance, this memorial,
Yes.
the things that happen in this, that the rarity of each thing that happened had to be planned out somehow. I mean, it was meant to be, and I that's it. That's
I mean,
that's a good
let's talk
Lord. That's
about
a
that.
good Lord.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Craig, because I mean, I know people listening right now are interested in saying, okay, well, what are some of the connections? Oh, well, what if this wouldn't have happened? What if I didn't meet Susan? What if I didn't, become a crew
Yeah,
chief? What if I was just a gunner? All these things. Like, what are some of
right.
the coincidences that you first started seeing? Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening.
Uh, you mean in Vietnam?
Or anytime. Anytime, like even with this memorial, like you said, you're trying to put it all together. Some of these things wouldn't have
Well,
just
I'll
come
give
about.
you a for instance. Two. There's another. I have a granddaughter that her name's Corey, and when she was born way premature. Let me ask Susan here just how many months along
Okay.
she was.
Yeah.
Susan, can you come in a second? Do you remember how many months Corey was old when she was born?
She was 3 months early at 25 weeks.
How much?
25 weeks.
25 weeks. She was 3 months early. And
Weighed a
she
pound and a half.
she would just fit in your hand.
A
She
pound and a
wasn't,
half.
yeah, she wasn't a pound and a half. She wasn't fully developed. God was with her the whole way. She was a little fighter, and she became fully developed with no complications. It was it was an incredible thing to watch, and she's a miracle. I'm assuming there's so many miracles that good Lord
Yeah,
helped out.
for sure, Craig. I mean, he
Yeah,
was there for your family again, and
yeah.
you know, um, for some of your brothers that you would have never met, like the soldiers you would have never met, lifelong friendships. take me back to a significant friendship that who's the first person you saw when you guys first were reunited when they unveiled the Huey before the memorial, like a year back,
Oh, first person I saw.
or first memorable person maybe.
I think it was. I can't remember, but let's see. When I first got there, I think it might have been. Oh no, it was Sam. Sam Guajardo. And we were
Okay.
having dinner,
Yeah.
and we were down in the lobby of the hotel we were staying. And I looked over at this guy wearing a Vietnam hat. And I was having dinner with the rest of the family, and I was saying, that could be Sam over there. I'm gonna go over there and see if that's Sam. So I walked over and said, is your name Sam? He says, yeah. I said, I am Craig Fouts. He said, oh, Craig. Got up, we hugged, you know. And then Ruben Alejandro came down after that. And then Mr. Bodie, I'm calling Mr. Bodie, we all called all of our pilots Mr. because they're warrant officers. You call them Mr.
Yes. Yes.
And Byron Bodie came in next. And then Ron Elway came by. And then
Yes.
we called Tom Reinhardt down.
Yes.
And that was it.
What did it feel like to see some of these brothers after a long time?
Oh, we just hugged. It was just amazing. Yeah, we just hugged, went over and had a beer and talked. And
Well, that was before the memorial, correct? Was that back when they unveiled the Huey, that your first visit here before they installed it, or was it before the memorial?
no, that was the reunion when we first got together. Now, what happened is Tom Reinhardt had posted a photograph that I recognized online.
Yes.
And it had a footnote underneath it saying who had it. And I called them. It was some VA group. I think it was in Vermont or somewhere.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we don't have it anymore, but you might try Omaha, Nebraska, where they're refurbishing it. So I called them up there, and I said, my name is Craig Fouts, and I was the crew chief of that helicopter that I think you're refurbishing. And I wasn't expecting the response because I'm calling just because I want to fly up there and take some photographs in it. And she said, what? Do you have any record of this at all? I said, yeah, I got an everyday page history of it while I was there. And I've got several photographs I could send you. So she said, let me hand you over to this other fella. I don't know if she handed me over to George Abbott or if it was directly to Ron Elwell. I can't remember, but George
Sure.
put me in touch with Ron Elwell.
How was the first conversation with Ron?
Oh, he couldn't believe it. He could not believe it. So he wanted more information and everything. So we constantly kept in touch the whole time he was there helping refurbish that. And Dylan Driscoll was in it, and it was being refurbished at the Iowa Western Aviation Group in Council Bluffs.
Yes.
And all those students were working on it along with Ron. And
I mean, I heard you guys were texting back and forth sometimes till 2 o'clock in the morning. His time here.
Yeah, Ron's he's just such a neat guy. We would.
Yeah. He talks the world of you, Craig. He speaks the world of you. Ron really has a huge admiration for you. So now you're talking. See, these are all the things that are connecting, and then you get here, you see all your buds, and they had it in the hangar, okay? And I know that Mayor Black was there and a few other people. So I saw some photos where they first opened the hangar, or first you put eyes on it. Tell me about that, Craig. Eyes on 532, first time in years.
Yeah. Well, I knew that he had Snoopy going to be painted on the nose, and I knew he was painting some of the other markings on it. And when the garage door went up, it was slow motion. And you're sitting there looking underneath it, trying to see it as the door rises up. And the first thing you see is the skids with the orange paint on the front, and you go, oh, wow, look at them. They're raised up, and you could see, oh, there's the Snoopy. No. But when it raised up to where you could see the whole helicopter, it had a United States flag in the gunner section, and it had the honor guard out there with another American flag, and it was so beautiful, so painted so well, so shiny, such in good shape. Wasn't expecting it to look that good, and you were just in awe of it. All of us were in awe of it. We were all going, oh wow, and we were clapping, and so we went out, and I got to sit in it. My family got to sit in it, and that's what I wanted. I want my family to be able to sit in the same helicopter I am sitting in. And it was fun seeing that.
I mean, Craig, do you understand the chances of your childhood vehicle that you first learned to drive on and then finding it so many years later? Do you know the minimal chances of that, right? We're
Right,
talking a Huey that could have been destroyed 10 times over, that could have been demilitarized, scrapped, and just thrown away.
right. I'd always figured it'd probably just been tossed off the side of a ship somewhere because they were doing that.
Yes.
And
I mean, but Craig, it hit you. When did it hit you? Like, this is the Huey. This is the one. Like, when did you
as
really believe it?
as soon as I read the footnote in the magazine that Tom Reinhardt published in it was John Brennan's book on helicopter nose art, and but I saw it online before I bought the magazine. But it had a serial number of 532 on it. I said, that's what I was the crew chief of. So I go back to my diary. I look at my diary and sure enough, the same serial number. I'm going, oh my gosh. So I tried
Who's
to
the
locate it.
Who's the first person you said, guys, you won't believe this. You won't. Who's the first person you told, Craig?
My wife,
How
Susan.
was that moment? Take us to that moment. Was she you were you yelling? Was she like, wait, what's going on here?
Well, it didn't seem, it didn't, it, it wasn't that big of a surprise to her. It didn't seem like, but but when I found it, when I traced it, then we started getting excited about going to see it.
I mean, Craig, it probably put some pep in your step, right? It tell me what it did for you. Tell it what it did for you or your soul at that moment, knowing we're gonna go see this thing in Omaha.
Well, when when I first contacted him and started talking to Ron Elwell, it was still being refurbished, so I didn't get to go right away.
Right.
And he said, "Why don't you wait until we finish it, and then you come see it, and you can sit in it then." So okay, so we kept up to date all the time. I mean, we were in conversations every day, and finally, when they got the reunion together, we were getting pretty excited about it.
How many
So,
months was that from the day you found out to the day
oh
you
shoot, I
touched
don't
it?
know.
Almost
Um, I don't remember how long that. I'm not good with time.
That's okay. Maybe a year, 6 months. I just need a
It might
ballpark.
have been. No, I think it was about a year, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
About a
So
year.
remember, here's your present, but you can't touch it for a year. Could you
Right.
imagine telling anyone that? Here's something really exciting, but you can't see it. Oh, we found the helicopter that you were serving, and you were in the military with, but you can't see it for a year. Again, just so many things lining up. And so, you spoke to your brothers then, and you saw a lot of the crew, and then it was time to go. And then, that they were going to have the Vietnam Memorial, the Nebraska Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
Right.
That had to be exciting too. It's been a couple years exciting for you, hasn't it, been, Craig? I mean, I'm sure all your life, but okay, now knowing that you're going to come back to this, you and Ron Elwell kept in contact. Any stories there you want to share in between leaving and then coming back to the actual memorial?
Well, it's been a wonderful trip. I think I couldn't believe that this all added up and just kept getting better and better and better, because really 532 was in Vietnam. It was just another helicopter. I mean, I flew in several different helicopters. It was just another one.
Sure.
But to see this helicopter being refurbished to be the centerpiece of a Vietnam memorial made it a great helicopter. So it became very important. And I felt I became a part of something that was important. And that made me feel great. And I started calling everybody. I was in touch with Ruben before. I met him a few times before. And I told him about this. And he was good friends with Sam. And so he got a hold of Sam. And then I called Tom Reinhardt and told him about it. And when I first called Tom, I couldn't remember Tom's name because I didn't write it down in my diary. So Tom Reinhardt's name was not that familiar with me. But then when we were on the phone and he started describing some of the flights that we had together, I would say, hey, that was me. That was me that threw the smoke grenade crate down on the LZ when we had to go in.
Oh my gosh.
And so then he sent me a picture of him when he was younger, and I could remember him from then. So
Yeah.
and then Mr. Bodie got a hold of him, Byron, and when we all got together, they were just a swell bunch of guys.
You,
Just a swell bunch of guys.
you know the word, Craig, the word swell, in the Times, right? That's the ultimate word of praise, swell guys, and these are people that you haven't talked to in a long while. I mean, I'm sure you've had friends come in and out of your life, right? Just like
Yeah,
everyone does. We meet someone, five
right,
years, we know them, they leave, or we don't stay friends. These are people that some of them you haven't kept in contact at all,
right,
correct?
right.
Who surprised you the most? Like, who did you see and say, "Oh my gosh"? Or is there somebody of significance that maybe you were? And I know back to was that Ruben Alejandro? He was the one in the rubble, correct?
Yes,
And you guys have been through the worst together right there at the rubble. Did you guys ever talk about that again?
yes. Uh, Actually, we met at Knott's Berry Farm one time,
Oh,
and met another
California.
time in Las Vegas.
Okay.
When we met in Las Vegas. My brother invited him over to his house, and I had my diary over there. So I read the whole diary to Reuben, and he remembered all of it. So it was kind of a touching time. But that's about the only time we talked about it was when we were reading that diary. The rest of the time we were just having a good time together.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's
Ribbon was my best friend over there. He was one of the very best friends. And they were a
that,
swell
that
bunch of guys because we would get together in the hooch. We lived in the same hooch together, all five of us. And well, not the pilots, but all
right.
the crew chiefs and the gunners. And we get together at night sometimes and light the candles and listen to the music of the '60s, and we'd sing
Yeah.
songs. So that was pretty neat.
I mean, you know, it's crazy. So when you see movies, and this is just a quick second, but when you hear the songs of the Vietnam era, what songs come to mind? I want kids to know. I want adults to know what, because Fortunate Son, like, I mean, Fortunate Son to me just really sticks out in my head as I can't, every time I hear that song, Craig, I think, again, I wasn't there, but it just, it encapsulates the time. What about for you, Craig? What were some of your songs there?
Well, anything by Creedence was, but there were
Yeah,
other songs that didn't have to do with the war, like House of the Rising Sun,
yes,
uh,
by
the
the Amp.
Righteous
Yeah,
Brothers.
yes,
Uh, let's see, the Beatles, but the Beach Boys, any songs by the Beach Boys.
wow,
Actually, I grew up next to the Beach Boys. Our football team played with theirs, and we had two high schools next to each other,
yes,
and we would take the same cruising from Hawthorne Boulevard, from the wit stand, Hawthorne Boulevard from A&W root beer on Hawthorne Boulevard to the wit stand in Hollywood, and those were the same trips that they would take at the same time.
Thanks for tuning in to The Connection. It's been a fantastic journey exploring stories, insights, and inspirations that bridge our lives. Remember, every connection has the power to transform. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Your feedback keeps us going. In this connected world, let's make meaningful connections that enrich lives. Now, signing off until next time, The Connection. Keep connecting and let's go.